Hey guys, this is Kim with the SoulSense podcast. I am your host, as I said, Kimberly, and I have my hubby, my honey bunny, my trusty wingman, Melvin.
Howdy.
And you are tuned in for another episode and another one and another one. But guys, guess what? This is our 25th episode.
25.
And, you know, to some people that may be like, oh, just 25 or whatever. But if you think about it, we aim for this to be a weekly podcast. This is what it is. And we launched May 1st. So that's about a little over, we're coming up on, I guess, 8 months. And we've done 25 episodes. And for us, that symbolizes that we've been consistent. That's a lot of episodes. I mean, it really is. And so if we would have done 26, that would have been like half a year's worth, right? So anyways, I am just excited. I was telling Melvin that we definitely needed to get the 25th episode up before the end of the year. And I was just excited. And I'm just going to celebrate every milestone. When we hit 50 episodes, I'm going to be happy about that. And I even noticed that we finally got over 100 followers on Instagram. And I'm really excited about that because, you know, when you do something like this, you know, the enemy can tell you like, nobody's going to listen to you. Like, don't nobody care about what you got to say. And to even have one follower, I'm just like, and especially, you know, of course we have friends that we know personally and family members that follow us and keep up with what we're doing and ask how everything's going. But when you get that first follower that you don't know them from Adam's house cat and they live across the country, it's like, wow, somebody is actually going to listen to us. Wow. And so I'm just so excited. And for those of you who have been listening to us, I just want to say thank you. And just thank you so much for being along with us on this ride as we've been trying to work out kinks and get our stride together and figure out how we were going to do this, how this platform was going to be for us. And so I am just so grateful. And I just pray and hope that you guys continue to roll with us and, you know, that we get the people what they need.
Get the people what they want.
So,
that's my boy Jalen Rose right there.
Oh, yeah, that is his thing.
He's not my boy, but you know.
Oh, okay. So, but like I mentioned, we are, what's the date? The 29th of December. So that means we are 2 days away from the new year. 2019 is upon us, guys. Ooh. I don't even know what that sound was, but so anywho, we were just kind of talking about what we were going to talk about today. And I had mentioned to Melvin, like, I think it's only appropriate that we really talk about the year 2018 in review and just kind of go back and, you know, talk about, you know, what happened in the year and then also look forward into what we anticipate and expect in 2019. We have a good friend of ours. We've mentioned their names very often. Y'all know they like our spiritual parents, but John and Jackie Jackson. One time we were having a conversation and John had mentioned to us that, you know, whenever you have any type of victory, success, any type of progress at all, it's very imperative that you take time to acknowledge it, even if it could be brushed off as just something simple, you know what I'm saying? Very, you know, because that's what the enemy wants us to do. He wants us to not celebrate our growth. And so I feel like it's appropriate that we sit and we talk about 2018 in review. What you think, Melly?
I'm good with that. I want to talk about even the holiday a little bit.
Okay, okay. Where you want to start? You want to start the holiday first?
Yeah, why not?
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I definitely we had a fun holiday. You know, we had
our holiday season was great.
we talked about our Thanksgiving, which was great. And your parents came up for Christmas.
Yeah, they just actually left today.
And we had a blast. You and your mom really got to hang out a lot. And in turn, me and your dad got to hang out. Something you said yesterday that kind of rang with me was, you know, because I was just saying it in jest, but I was like, you lucky I'm not the kind of... Kimberly was gone all for like 2-3 days with her mom. They just out running the streets.
We were in the streets.
Which means her dad is at the house. And I was like, you lucky I'm not the kind of guy to just go back to the room and chill out and let it, you know. And she was like, well, I know that because, you know, I didn't even have to ask because we work good together. We know when the next person has to step up or fill in or whatever. And now I will say as a caveat to that is, I have no issues hanging out with Kim's dad. It's not like a chore. We kind of, I think I mentioned this before, but it's a good match because he has a million stories and he's a very good storyteller. And I love listening to stories, especially like historical things. And he's had he was born in, you know, segregated South, went to college on a basketball scholarship, hurt his leg, and then worked for a while he was in college, and he had to sit out one semester. And during that one, and back then, for anyone who doesn't know, the way the draft worked was if you were in college, you had an exemption from being drafted. And so, but if you, for any reason, like didn't keep your grades up or had to get out of school, and then they would, the college would have to report that to the draft committee or whoever does that, and they would reactivate you. And it's supposed to be random anyway, but, you know, he had one semester out and he was getting ready to go and register to get back in school. And it was like 2 weeks before that deadline or something like that. And his name came up. His birthday came up. Mm-hmm. Yeah, for the draft. So he had to go in, and at like 20 years old, went to, he passed some tests and went into like a non-commissioned officer school or whatever, and went in. So I guess probably around 21, goes to Vietnam as a sergeant. Mm-hmm. And
in the 60s.
Yeah, in the 60s, black man as a sergeant in Vietnam. And, you know, it's not like he was in charge of a black group. It was a mixed group. Some of these guys were, you know, Southern dudes who, and maybe not even just Southern, but dudes who were not used to taking orders from a black guy. And I mean, I was just thinking about all of the stuff he had to go through in that, while also being responsible for his life and their life. But anyway, all that in a nutshell is it's not hard to hang out with his dad. But back to my original point. Sorry, I got on a tangent there.
Okay.
I just started thinking.
It's good. Yeah. You're doing good.
but all of that, back to my original point, is that it's not an effort for me to hang out with your dad. But we talked about, you know, you the fact that you mentioned how we work well together in that. And yeah, I mean, I think that's so cool. I don't think about it all the time because it's the same way when we went back to Ohio. But I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful that we kind of have developed that. And anybody listening, man, that's like, I think that's the goal for a married couple. And don't get it twisted. We are not perfect. We argue about stupid stuff.
And it's taken a while for us to get there because, you know, and what I was telling him was like, you know, you guys, we've mentioned this before, of course, but, you know, we're in Texas. We don't have family around us. So when we see our family, it's like, when we're around Melvin's family, I just automatically, like, he doesn't even have to ask, like, can I go and be with my mom? I mean, he wouldn't have to ask that, but it's just, I mean, of course, we're going to spend time all together as a family, but of course, you're going to want to spend one-on-one time with your parents. You're going to want to spend that time together. And so it's the same thing, you know, and with the holidays, Thanksgiving, we spent time in Ohio with his family, and then we were here in Texas. My parents came in for Christmas. It's the same thing. You know, it's just kind of like, more so than anything, just giving the other person a heads up. Hey, I'm going to be doing this. So the other person can plan their day appropriately. And, yeah, we had a really good Christmas. I was able to spend some really great time with my mother, from just, like, I think one day me and Mama took the girls out and we just kind of just was shopping, you know, Target and IKEA, and, you know, we just kind of were just out and about, you know, went to Hobby Lobby and stuff, and just got the girls out of the house, and allowed my dad and Melvin to be able to just kind of rest and do whatever, you know. And then the next day, me and my mom spent the whole day at my favorite spa here in town. And literally, like, we left, I say probably about like 9 something. We dropped the girls off at 9 something. We didn't come home till probably about 9 that night. We were gone all day. And the very last day that they were here, which was yesterday, all of us basically, me, Melvin, my dad, my mom, we just all kind of just did stuff around the house, cleaned up, took down Christmas decor. So it was just really good just to be with my family. And, you know, Christmas was really good. And one thing that I don't think that we talked about was that, you know, our girls didn't get a lot of stuff for Christmas, which I don't really want them to have a lot of stuff, though we can afford to buy them gifts and stuff. I feel like this year we really thought about the things, instead of just buying stuff just to buy, we bought stuff that they would really appreciate. I mean, my little 17-month-old, she don't know nothing. I mean, she just a little toddler. She don't know what she like. But my oldest daughter had been talking about, you know, maybe 1 to 2 things. That's it. You know, like really one thing since the end of October, which were LOL dolls. And she got that, and she was like, this was the best Christmas ever. And that's really all she wanted.
Yeah. I was pretty, Kimberly has to kind of reel me in a bit, because I can get a little overzealous on Christmas. I love giving gifts, and I love to see how, you know, I love to see how my girls react. Girls meaning Kimberly and the kids. And I'm not a big, I used to not be into gifts at all, like getting gifts. But I kind of have grown to like it somewhat. But I mean, I've never disliked getting gifts, but I just never think about it. You know what I mean? But this year we were like, we did not do it very big on Christmas this year at all.
We didn't.
Even with each other, you know, we got each other just some small gifts, and just decided to invest just in the podcast, got a new camera. And this year, for one thing I was really intentional about was just we had a devotional with Farah, and just really trying to walk her through just really understanding what the meaning of Christmas is, and really understanding why, you know, just trying to get her out of the materialistic thing that we can all get in. I mean, I can get into it for sure. You know what I mean? But we talked about just how Christmas is about getting gifts, but it's about getting the gift that God gave us. And we walked through just I walked up through, like, how was Jesus a gift? And we talked about, you know, why Jesus came, and, you know, more than just the, you know, so we can go to heaven, but more like, what, you know, looked at some scriptures like, I came that they may have life and life to the full. And then we talked about, what does life to the full mean? You know, what is and I was like, so if I say Christmas is about presents, let's talk about what you get. Oh, I want LOL doll. Okay. Is that what Jesus came to give you? Because he said he wanted to give you life to the full. Is that going to be? Well, yeah, I think. Well, what can that break? Yeah. Well, that's not forever, so it won't make you full. And we just walked through a whole bunch of things, and she just start answering off different things. Like, what about a bike? Well, can a bike break? You know, and kind of let her answer her own thing, and to try to figure out, you know, as much as a 5-year-old can, what it means to have life to the full, and what are the important things, you know, that we have in life. What are things that can't, you know, burn away? And it's funny that we talk to our little kid about that, but I think us as adults have to kind of be on a watch for that. Almost like do the same type of checklist every once in a while. Like, where are my priorities? My job is important to me. Okay, so what can happen to my job? I could lose it. You know, it's not that. So how important is it? Mm-hmm. And walk through all of those things. I don't know, but
yeah, I feel what you're saying. What you're saying, and I think this Christmas it was more about memories and spending time with each other, and we were able to do some cool things with the kids, and you know,
Operaland, that was cool.
Gaylord,
whatever.
Yeah, that's Nashville. When you say Operaland,
well, that's where they got it from.
Yeah, so it was real good, you know. And I always miss my parents when they leave and stuff like that. But so anywho, so you want to go ahead and get on up into this?
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, first part, let's talk about our year in review. So I wrote down a few little things, and, you know, we could discuss them, and you can chime in with your things. And one of the things I really want us to focus on is not necessarily just the positive things, but really thinking about Romans 8:28, when it talks about everything works for the good of those who love him. And sometimes when you're going through things, it may not feel like it's for your good, but hindsight is 20/20, and you get on the other side and you're like, okay, that situation definitely stretched me, but it made me grow and I'm better. So yes, let's talk about things that were good, but let's also try to think about stuff as we're talking back and forth about just things that happened that now we're like, okay, this is getting us ready for what's to come. Okay?
For Sheezy.
Okay, I'll start off. At the beginning and at the top of the year in 2018, one of the things, and I'm not really like a resolutions vision board person. I've tried to do that, but I don't know if it's just the nature of it being called that kind of makes it like it doesn't happen. So what I try to typically do is have like big themes for areas in my life and kind of like an overall theme. And so the overall theme for me for 2018 was that it was my year of yes. And what I mean by that is that if there was something that was presented to me or came my way that scared me or stretched me, and I had that twinge to like want to say no out of fear, I would say yes. So one of those things was when we were asked to speak at the marriage retreat. You guys probably wouldn't know this, but I am not like a get up in front of people, center, you know, in the limelight type of person. I don't like public speaking, only because it just makes me nervous. I'm a bit insecure about my voice and how it sounds to others. And but we were approached as one of the couples to get up and speak at our marriage retreat. And I wanted to say yes, but we said no. I mean, I wanted to say no, but we said yes. And it ended up turning out to be very good. You know, it definitely boosted my confidence. Like at this point, I feel like if somebody were to ask us to speak, I would be even quicker to say yes. But I think it started us to start learning how to work together and to feed off each other's energies. That was probably the biggest group that I had ever spoke in front of. And you know, we had to speak together. So we had to sit down and we had to brainstorm over what we were going to speak about. And, you know, and it was funny. And I didn't even think about it until afterwards. But one of the other couples that spoke had mentioned to us, like, y'all were like the only couple up there that didn't have notes. Like, y'all didn't write down anything. Y'all came up there by memory. And I was like, I didn't even think about that. Like, we didn't go up there with anything written out. We didn't have notes, no bullet points. We just
the scripture.
Yeah, we just figured it out, and we just kind of rehearsed what we were gonna say. You know,
I was gonna say we practiced a lot. Mess around with you.
I didn't even think we were practicing that much.
Yeah, we did. We did, but it was good. I enjoyed it. I like doing things together. I thought that was this year for me. I'm just giving, we just be free and give points. Yeah, for me, really this year, I really wanted to do more things together. As, you know, just figure out how we can go about this mission together. Because especially as we were talking about dreams and things like that towards the beginning of the year and the end of last year, you know, we were talking about, you know, getting out of leadership and what are we going to do after that and how's that going to go, and really trying to think about how we can define ourselves. Yeah. You know, I had this feeling of like, man, I would love to be just in the groove together. You know, how can we figure this out? And I think that was kind of like a big boost, you know, to kind of get us going. And we really had to talk through a lot of, actually that kind of led us into the whole podcast thing, because that we really had to talk out a lot of things. It made us go back and reflect on some of the things we had to navigate through over the years, previous year. And to be honest, the end of last year was probably one of our lowest points, I would say, like the
at 2017.
Yeah, the middle to for sure, because we were like cats and dogs, man, like just in long periods of time. We've just
right after we had Fallon, or were we mixing up 2016? Because you know we had Fallon in 2017, in the summer of 2017. So I think you may be thinking about 2016.
So 2017 was when we were going into No, it was into 2017, because when we did that, when we did the thing on the talk or whatever, it was not too. That was kind of what we talked about. It wasn't too long after that.
I don't know.
Anyway,
I know we had a period where it was just like we couldn't get right to get right. Right. With our communication, we would talk about stuff, and we would be talking about something light and airy, and then all of a sudden, an argument would just pop up. You know. And
I mean, like you would think that we was just having like this serious thing going on, and kind of to your point of, you know, everything, you know, happening for a reason. God intends everything for our good. You know, at the time when we were in the midst of that stuff, I mean, I really didn't see the good in coming from it. I knew from a spiritual perspective that scripture is true, and that the things that we're doing are going to make us stronger if we fight through them. But at the time, man, you just like, you know, to be honest, from my perspective, I was like, man, she is never going to see the things that I'm saying. And I guarantee from your perspective, you were feeling the same way. Yeah. And I don't think two people could have been as far away from a resolution as we were without, you know, especially in that type of situation, you know, where it was just, and it just took us like we just had to keep coming back to the well, keep coming back to the well, keep coming back to the well every time.
And I think a lot of it too is just that, and I think we've been married long enough to know that, you know, you go through times of transition and change, and you don't, and that's a good thing, because as you get older, you're going to grow. You should be growing. You should be maturing. You should be gaining more wisdom. And so who you were when you were 22, 23 is not who you're going to be 10 years from then. You're not going to be that same person, you know? And so you're going to have to redefine what marriage is for you. And I think that was just us cutting our teeth through that time. We went from having one child to 2 children. You know, we personally had some health issues that really plagued us in 2017, you know, that we needed to get hold of. Our parents were going through a lot. So there were a lot of stressors. And then we were leading a small group at our church. So it was like, we're going through all of this personally. And then we are responsible for being part of shepherding, you know, other people. And it was just too much. So like Melvin said, after we decided, after praying and everything and discussion and getting advice, we decided to step down for leadership. But what our nature is to do something. We're just not like the type of people that just show up and just take. We're wanting to serve. We're wanting to give. We're wanting to put, you know, our talents to use. And so we really sat and racked our brains over what could we do. And it's funny because I was mentioning to Melvin that this podcast was an act of the Holy Spirit. It has to be. And the reason why I say that is because, you know, Melvin kind of got off into listening to podcasts before I did. And separately from each other, he was thinking about doing something digital. You know, and he's right. He had wanted us to do something together, like a ministry that we were doing together. And we had some ideas of some things we were wanting to do. And unbeknownst to him, I was thinking the same thing. And so one day I came up to him and was like, you know what? We should start a podcast. And I thought it was such a perfect idea because it wouldn't take my husband is in IT. His thing is technology, digital, anything that he doesn't know about it, he can quickly find out about it. And so, and on top of that, for those of y'all who don't know, we already have a studio in our home because he's a musician. So he already has recording stuff. We have instrumentation. We have all kinds of stuff that were already in our home. We really didn't have to go out and purchase anything if we didn't want to. And so I felt like it was like the perfect setup for us. And so when I mentioned it to him, he was like, no lie, I was thinking the same exact thing. And that's how the podcast was birthed. And we already knew what we wanted to talk about. We knew we wanted to have this type of platform. And I will be honest with you guys, probably a couple of years ago, I wanted to start blogging and just blogging, like lifestyle blogging. And it was the hardest thing for me to do. And it was so hard because it was so hard for me to write posts. Like I didn't have anything to say. And ever since we have started SoulSense, I think content has been pouring out of us. Like for many of you guys, y'all know that we do a blog as well. If you don't know, you should definitely subscribe. SoulSenseMinistries.com. Go to the blog, subscribe. But we also have a weekly blog, and I'm constantly cranking out content. Like it's so easy, and I have to take the time to say it's God, because this is what we're supposed to be doing. Like me lifestyle blogging, that's not what God wanted me to write about. And that's why it was so hard for me. And I'm a good writer, at least I think I am. But I would just be sitting there at the computer, like just barely able to write out a sentence. Like nothing felt right. And I was write something, erase. But the information just pours, the content pours out of me now that we have our platform. Everything fell into place. We have a friend that's a graphic designer, made fabulous logos for us and digital stuff for us. Me figuring out like social media and the engagement and stuff. Like, I have all my personal stuff, but the fact of trying to do it for a quote unquote business, though we don't feel like we're a business, but that's the kind of account that we have to have on social media, the engagement there and learning about it, everything just came so easily, and, we had friends who just donated money to us, just gave us money just because they believed in us. And it's just been, everything has just fallen into place. And when those things happen, all I can think is that is the Spirit opening up doors. So that is something that was really, that I would have to say another thing that our year in review, launching this podcast, we announced it on April 1st. It was April Fool's, but we announced it, and then we actually put out our first episode on May 1st, and we've been cranking it since then. And I'm proud of us because we've been consistent with me and Melvin both work full-time jobs. We are active with our family. We've been traveling this year, and we've still been able to be consistent.
Yeah.
And so I'm proud of us. I mean, hey, pat on the back. Because, I just can't. I'm not saying that we're flaky people, but this has been the one thing that we together, outside of parenting, that we have been very, very consistent with.
Yeah, and I will say we're flaky people sometimes.
Okay.
I won't say we're flaky on purpose. I say that we have big dreams. You know what I'm saying? Uh-huh. And I think really one thing that the things that we're different at kind of help us to filter out pipe dreams from what's really going to happen. I think the thing for you is you're really good at like the structure of things, right? Like making things, having like keeping us on schedule and all that kind of thing. And I think I'm really good at going in like the doing, you know what I mean? If it's putting together a website or buying a camera or doing something that takes a lot of research or something like that, I'm always down to do that. So it kind of works out where I don't think it's your cup of tea to sit behind a computer screen and read about, the best microphones or the best whatever.
No. Yeah.
But to me, that stuff is great. And I don't mind. And if it were up to me, we would probably miss recording times all the time because Kimberly would be like, all right, Melvin, let's record. I'm like, well, let's just do it tomorrow. I'm real tired. No, come on, let's do it, And so we help each other to be consistent in this. But I'm proud of us as well, just because, again, going back to that thing that I really wanted to do, just working together and being able to work with you. I think in you, for you more than anything, I've seen this as an opportunity for you to kind of shine in terms of like, I think maybe you have tapped into a part of yourself that you didn't know existed. I remember talking to you about wanting to teach and wanting to, even way back when you were talking about just being more knowledgeable about the Bible and able to really wield it with expertise. And you put a lot of work into getting to that point, but I still think that there was a bit of hesitance in like what you could do. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And I think,
what you're saying, yeah.
in you by yourself. Like I think God really set this up to be an opportunity for Him to display the work He's been doing in you, and I've been very proud of of your, just your display, man. Even just from your voice on the mic and your demeanor and the way you approach it. If somebody were to listen to this, they would feel like you were the person that had way more experience on a microphone, whereas in maybe I'm like somebody who I'm the engineer guy who jumps on the mic. You know what I mean? Because I feel like, I really do. I feel like you do a really, really good job. And, I'm very proud of you in that. And it's been cool to be a part of it. It's funny, even the direction of the podcast when we first started, it was literally just you talking and me just kind of
chiming in.
Yeah, every once in a while. And as time goes by, some episodes I'm doing more talking, some you are. And I think we're kind of moving to a more of a middle ground.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. As I go back and edit this stuff, I can see more of a middle thing. So this has been cool this year.
Yeah. And I'll say another thing, moving on to another thing and thank you, baby. I really appreciate that because it's been a process, and it's been a beautiful process, but hasn't been easy every little area, every part of the way. Number 3, I guess our third little point, that I have written down is we really leaned into family this year. And I think it was do you want to pause or?
No, go ahead, because I'm going to actually pull her in here for a second.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Well, our daughter's knocking on the door. But anyways, I was telling Melvin probably a week ago that we set out at the beginning of the year to be more family focused with our extended family. Of course, like we said, we don't live around any blood family. And at this time last year, my aunt, who was a aunt that I was very close to, passed away unexpectedly. And I flew to Atlanta to see her, to go to the funeral, and I was able to see family that I hadn't seen for years. And when I came back from the funeral, I told Melvin, I said, and just a little bit more background on that aunt passed away in December. 6 months prior to that, another aunt had passed away. So my mother lost 2 of her sisters within a 6-month period. And so at that point, I just thought to myself, we got to lean into our family. We need to spend more time with our family. We're at a place where, is it convenient to have to fly us and our young children all around and stuff like that? No. Do you want to spend that money? Not necessarily, but we can afford to do it. And we decided, I just told him we're going to do it. And so we did just that this year. And for that, I'm proud of us too. We saw both sides of our family multiple times this year. Like, your parents came to Texas like twice. I want to say they came for Fallon's birthday and they came for around your mom's birthday because she flew out to Las Vegas.
Yeah. And I got to spend a bunch of time with my dad. She dropped him off with us, and she went to Las Vegas with my aunt for her birthday for about 4 days, something like that, 5 days. And my dad has dementia. And it was a blessing, man, just to be able to, not only to be able to hang out with him and, just get some time with him and him get some time with the kids and with Kimberly, but also to really be able to see kind of the things that my mom goes through just on a daily basis, just by herself. And I think that's important because no matter how much I try to empathize, just going on her word, it's always going to be better when I can see, because at the end of the day, my mom's probably like most other people's moms. She can get emotional and whatever, but she will never really let on. Like, she'll do it just to vent a bit, right? But when it comes to saying, I need A, B, and C, she is not going to ask me for anything. She's not going to ask me for anything financially, anything from time. I mean, other than, you know, like I said, she'll just call and want to vent, which is good. She needs that. But also I wanted to see what else does she need? What else is going on, and how can I help in that? So it was definitely a great opportunity for that. So yeah, that was good.
Yeah, and then we had family. My side, all my immediate family came in about a week after your parents left for Fallon's birthday. And because on my side, my niece was born on July 30th. My youngest was born on July 31st. And my dad was born on August 9th. And so we kind of had like a little family birthday time together. And that was fun. You know, we did stuff with the kids and just really had a good time with them too. And then the holidays came. Well, in April, me and Farrah made a road trip to Tennessee. Early December, we all went to Memphis again because we did the St. Jude Marathon.
And you said the July 4th thing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We went to Atlanta, Georgia for July, for the 4th of July.
And hung out with your family and mine.
Yes, we did. And then Thanksgiving in Ohio, Christmas in Texas with my family. I mean, I'm proud of us, man. Like when I reflect on that, like, cause as we're just listing this out, like in this moment, I'm like, wow, we really did spend a lot of time with family.
Yeah, that was good. And it was important. I think the other area, and I'm going to bring Farrah in for 1 second, but another area we really wanted to pour into was just our kids, you know, and in particular, my oldest daughter, she is in kindergarten, and you know how kids just have that adjustment period, and she's a very, I guess, precocious. Is that a good word to say?
Yeah, and energetic.
Super energetic, but very, very intelligent, and you know, she was just having some adjustment things, and we both work a lot, you know, and I think we were really. It's kind of hard on all of us just adjusting to going from one child to two, and just really kind of realigning our values, man, and trying to make sure that we were investing in our kids as much as possible, because at the end of the day, that's the most important thing, and you know, is family. But we work with Farrah and just helping her with, you know, just trying to help her with control and being, you know, just working. But the thing we had to try to do is, how do you help her with these things without kind of squashing the person who she is? Because at the end of the day, my mission isn't just to have an obedient child. I want to have a fully developed child that has learned to use her strengths in the best way to serve God. You know what I mean? In the way that God intended her to be. And, you know, that may mean we're going to have to just live with certain things until she matures and figures out how to work it out. But neither one of us claim to be child psychologists or anything like that. So we definitely got advice from a lot of people who are far more advanced than us. But then just spending time with her. Hey, come here, Fifi.
And just sidebar, if we talk a lot about that in episode, I think it's number 16. It's called To Train Up a Child in the Way They Are Bent. If you guys want to go back and just listen to that. And so we got little Farrah in here. She's been pretty good being quiet while we record. And so Daddy wants to have her say a couple of things.
Okay, Fair Bear. So let me get you to lean into the mic a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, so I want you to tell me how your year has been. What are some things what was big about this year? You started kindergarten?
Yeah, I also had a party.
Oh, you did. So tell me about some of the things that were hard about kindergarten. Or actually, first tell me some of the things that were good about starting kindergarten that you think you did good at this year.
I was good at not fighting, but then I started to go fighting. So I had to stop that. Then I stopped that. Then I started to get me some greens. Yeah!
That is awesome. Yeah, because for a little bit there, you were having some trouble with your behavior.
I had.
And we had to challenge you, and we talked about what? What we talk about with buckets.
Filling them up to make people happy. Yeah.
Yeah, so encouraging people instead of, because sometimes it could be hard to work on just having good behavior, right? Yeah. So it's easier to work on just filling buckets, trying to encourage people. Anything else?
Now, can you do the hard part about kindergarten?
Yeah, you can tell me the hard part.
The hard part was starting.
You got to talk in the mic.
The hard part.
Not loud.
The hard part was arguing sometimes. And I finally stopped. But the hardest part is trying to get greens or blues. That's the hard part.
Yeah, I bet you that it could be hard. It was hard for Daddy when he was in school. Well, thank you, baby, for coming and talking to us. I will tell you, you have really improved ever since we gave you little challenges. And, we had to take some privileges away, but you've earned them back, and that feels good, right?
Yeah, and thank you for letting me join. I appreciate it.
Anything to say before you leave?
Oh, yeah. That you guys made me happy. It's though you guys maybe be a little rough on me sometimes, but I love you no matter what.
Well, that's awesome. We love you too, baby. All righty.
Bye.
You gonna tell the people bye?
Bye, guys.
Great job, baby.
Great, baby. You did good hosting with us.
There you go. That's a nice picture.
No,
Thank
it's
you.
something it's saying I want candy.
You want candy.
I'm just...
Oh, so so she was knocking on the door, and instead of talking, she illustrated the question she had. And it says, what is it in pictures? Let me see.
Candy is peppermints on here and suckers.
There's a picture, and it says Farrah, and then she's drawn little pieces of candy.
Gum and chocolate.
No, not gum.
Was that chocolate there?
No, this is a lollipop.
Okay, well, you can't have candy, baby.
Right now.
Not right now.
But
okay?
you can get some Cheetos. Can she have some Cheetos?
Yeah, you got some Cheetos. Put it in a little bowl. Get one of your little bowls.
I thought I could have a peppermint.
No. Can you close the door, please? And get you a bowl of Cheetos.
Okay.
All the way, baby. Close the door all the way, please.
You guys cracked it.
No, okay, close it all the way, though. Well, y'all, it's been a journey.
Yeah. I can't believe she tried to do it in hieroglyphics.
Yes. I'm proud of us in that. That's one of those ones that falls under Romans 8:28. I do want to read that scripture because it's a good scripture, one of the many scriptures I've been holding to, but I have it in NLT. And again, it's Romans 8, chapter 8, verse 28. And it reads, "And we know that God causes everything to work together for the good of those who love God and are called according to his purpose for them." And I have just really had to hold to that because in this particular area, it's, like we talked about on episode 16, we've had some moments And we're just getting started. You know what I'm saying? Lots of crying out to God and asking for guidance from God in the spirit, as, you know, humbling ourselves to get advice from others, letting people know where we're at, and being humble enough to receive correction, you know, and really being able to look at ourselves soberly in the things that we needed to tighten up on. And to, you know, some things we just have to stop doing. And again, not perfect in it, but like Melvin said, told Farrah that there has definitely been improvement. Definitely been improvement. So that's all I got. I think that's a lot for the year in review. You got anything else you want to mention about our year in review before we look to 2019?
No. I think just in general, for me, it has been just a year of a lot of growth and a lot of challenges. In my job, I've mentioned it before, this has probably been the most difficult year that I've ever had in terms of just having to fight through a lot of insecurities, having to adjust to new leadership, and, you know, really having to trust in what God gave me the ability to do. But it also called me to have to reassess, you know, like what I want in life. You know what I mean? What do I want to do? Who do I want to be? How do I want to come out on the other side of this? I think spiritually it's been a very difficult year for me. It's been difficult to remain focused. It's been difficult to remain consistent in a lot of areas. But this has been like one of those claw years, man. Like I've just been kind of clawing, just trying to stay afloat in certain areas. While other areas I felt like I've been doing much better in. I think I've grown in just a willingness to, you know, be more outwardly focused in terms of like hanging out with people, being somebody who is starting it, like reaching out and participating in things, almost like the year of yes. You know, for me, I've been trying to hang out with people more and participating in different events and stuff like that, where I think I kind of got into the habit of just being like, no, after having, it's kind of the same thing I had right after we had Farrah. You know, you just get so caught up in life that you got to kind of get yourself back into the habit of being outwardly focused. But yeah, this year's been a hard one, man, all around for me. But, you know, I don't feel, and definitely hard with just my, you know, sickness in my family and different issues going on. I'm not a person that can easily process a lot of those things. So I probably need to deal with more than even what I'm dealing with. But, you know, I look back on 2018, I definitely see a lot of victories, but I also see a lot of things that I need to assess going into 2019 and be intentional in improving them, and just taking control of what I can control and relinquishing what I can't. So yeah, that's kind of it in a nutshell.
Oh, thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing. Well, I mean, if this means anything, I mean, I think you're 2018. I think you're being a little hard on yourself, because I think it's been a year that I've seen a lot of growth in you. You know, I definitely do. It's very easy. You mentioned about reaching out to people. I've seen you really initiate and go after, you know, accountability partners, prayer partners and stuff. And I feel like for 2019, it's just building upon that and fine tuning that. And definitely, like we had mentioned, you know, definitely sometimes where you just having to cling to that scripture that in the midst of it all, that, you know that you love God and you know that it's all going to work out, but it ain't pretty while you're going through it, you know?
Yeah.
So anywho, moving into the expectation of 2019. What you got there? I know you're not a resolution person or, but what are you expecting, anticipating, hoping for 2019?
2019, I've got a couple of things. I think first off, I want to see myself grow some of the talents that God has given me. Just be more intentional and like get back to working on my guitar, working on, just working on music a lot more. I would like to record some things, just grow in that area and really find a new way to like just take my worship to another level, to where it's not just like, when I say worship, not just Sunday worship, but like worship and being a part of my daily life.
That's good.
So, and I was moving towards that, and I kept trying to, but I think it's just going to be I need to start from the ground up and just really build out what that's going to be for me and how God wants that to look in my life. Mm-hmm. I think other than that, when it comes to professionally, I just want to make a couple of strong decisions professionally. I want to grow in a couple of skills, but just really decide what I want to do as far as, whether it's with my company or start to take steps to also have, do some things for myself, but yeah, just at the end of the day, man, I just want to get back into, I want this to be a year of growth. I want to reap the benefits of kind of like the struggle year, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And start to grow, or at least consistently do the things that should equal growth. Whether I see that growth this year or not, I'm not looking at that as a measure of success. But for me, the measure of success will be the consistency at which I do the things that I feel are going to lead to growth, whether it's practicing, training, studying, praying, all of those things that I feel should lead to me growing. Mm-hmm. And then I think from a podcast standpoint or from a SoulSense Ministries standpoint, I would like to see this grow. Yeah. I would like to see it grow in its reach. And I would also like to help, at least one other person, if not two, to kind of get something in motion. So being able to kind of move towards that network approach to things. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So yeah.
Yeah, that's what I had put down too, but let's back up. Let's not neglect that 2019 marks 10 years of marriage for us. Yay! Yes, guys, in October of 2019, that will mark 10 years of marital bliss. And so that's a celebration, because we know many people at this point that we went to school with and family, friends that are no longer married. And when I think about how long me and Melvin have been together, we started dating in 2005. And we got married in 2009. I mean, it's a blessing, and I do not want to ever take for granted the fact that we get another year to celebrate each other and really just taking in those times. Something else that's coming up in 2019 is Melly Mills gonna hit a big milestone birthday. You mind me telling them what year you gonna be turning? He gonna be 40. So already that just says that this year is about to be a year of celebration. Okay. And so those are some big things that I want to definitely keep in mind. I feel like we have over the years, we have spent anniversaries, kind of very, modest and things like that. And so I want us to celebrate this, because this is not something that everybody gets to celebrate with. So that's something that I am anticipating and looking forward to. Also, something that I tend to do, because I'm not a resolutions type of person, I'm not a vision board type of person, but I do like to have words that are kind of my theme words. And so typically, I overall, I kind of divide up my life in different areas. So I got personal, spiritual, professional, family. And in all these 4 different areas, the 3 words that I want to ring true are discipline, focus, and engage. And, some of the things and really the first word that popped up to me was discipline. And I feel like me having more discipline, will just do all 4 of those areas great, from, me running a half marathon in the spring, that's going to take me really discipline myself and focusing on nutrition, exercise, and training, in our family, under family, I want to make sure that, we're paying off finances, are getting our debt paid off. That's something we did in 2018, Melvin. We paid off some debt, and I want to keep that momentum going. Professionally, and we had a episode about career struggles and stuff. Can't remember what number episode that was, but I definitely want to bring my full authentic self to my job this year. And I definitely want to be consistent with working as if I'm working unto the Lord. I feel like I had moments throughout the year where, I lacked motivation, and it showed. Even when it didn't show to the outside person, it showed for me. And I just want to be better with that. And also professionally, I'm declaring it now. I am launching my diabetes consulting business this year. I may not have one client, but I am going to be established this year. And that's going to call for being disciplined with getting certifications and things like that, which I have already started the wheels for that, but that's happening, and just like what Melvin said with SoulSense, I am looking and anticipating SoulSense Ministries expanding. We have some cool projects that are coming up. And we are just excited about where this is going. I feel like we are really moving in purpose. Like, I really do feel like we're moving in purpose. I mean, there's no other explanation as to why everything is kind of moving easily. It's like a hand in glove. And so that's all I got. Anything else, Melly?
No, I think that's about it. We will be starting some video content coming up this year. Not just the podcast, but even just vlogging. We'll probably have some more specialized content as well, being a Christian mom or a Christian dad or a whatever, and again, we don't mean this to be a religious podcast by any stretch of the imagination. This isn't meant just for people who are Christians or whatever, but it just is a lifestyle.
Yeah, it's more like Christian lifestyle.
Well, just lifestyle, and our lifestyle is a Christian lifestyle. So we don't try to artificially insert Jesus into everything, right? So when we're talking about our marriage, my purpose isn't to tell you why you need Jesus to fix your marriage. My purpose is to tell you how our marriage has been repaired and how our marriage has grown, and it is Jesus. Now, hey, if there is another route out there, hey, listen, whatever. I'm not saying that, there's not other ways to work on your marriage and things like that, but all we can give you is the things that we have seen consistently work for us and work for others. And why it's important for me to say that is that not that I'm trying to take away from the religious aspect of what we do, but I want to make sure that anybody who stumbles across this or who you want to suggest this to will understand that there's no, we're genuine in what we try to talk about. We're not trying to be perfect or anything like that, but we genuinely have found a solution to a lot of the issues that we have had in our lives. And we really are people who try to work through a lot of our imperfections. And, it would just be like us having, being in the desert and having a water tree and having a bunch of seeds, but not wanting to give the seeds to anybody else. Literally this podcast is really serves two purposes. It's therapeutic for us because we get to get on here and talk about our things. And then also in preparation, it forces us to really process the things that we go through in life, but also it's to help other people that are, going through similar situations or may go through it in the future to have the tools. And, for me, I honestly believe my faith has been the driving factor of any type of success that I've had. And it's not because I'm such a strong, faithful person, but it's because I have such a strong, faithful God.
Good stuff.
So that's it.
Okay. Well, guys, this is the last episode for 2018. The next time you'll hear from us, it will be 2019, my birth month and my oldest baby birth month, January. Yeah. And again, thank y'all so much for a great 25 episodes. Thank you all for coming along on this journey with us and just being patient with us as we figure things out technology wise and stuff. And so if you are not subscribed to this podcast, go ahead and click that subscribe button. It is free. Also, if you're on social media, find us on Instagram at SoulSense Podcasts. Follow us there. And then also we're on Facebook at the SoulSense Podcast. We're on Twitter, SoulSense Pod. That's POD, short for podcast. And we will also encourage you guys to go and subscribe to our email list as well. The reason why we're really pushing that is because in the new year, we have some new projects, some new opportunities that are coming up that we would like you to share. But we don't want to bombard people who just happen to stumble upon us. If you like what you're hearing with us, you definitely should go over to SoulSenseMinistries.com, sign up for our email list so you can get all the different updates, tools, freebies that we're going to be able to offer here soon, and become a part of our newsletter and our online community, the Redeemed Phoenix. Again, this is Kim. It's been great, guys. And we just want to wish you guys a happy new year. And we'll see you then. Anything, Melvin, before us go?
No.
All right. See you guys later. Thanks. Bye.